也特别的从菲律宾来到现场，他今天下午才刚刚下飞机哦，然后赶到现场。先请大家以热烈的掌声来欢迎导演 Kenneth， 欢迎，谢谢导演来到现场。那另外我们也知道这部片其实整个后制都是在台湾进行的，大家听到很恐怖的这个声音音效也是由台湾的音效制作者，然后音效黄年勇不知道是不是也在现场，如果在的话，可不可以也到台前来跟我们一起？嗨 ，Eddie， 欢迎。那正式相遇了哦。那在开始我们正式的映后座谈之前，我们想说还是跟现场观众来做一个大合照，好不好？那观众朋友们准备好，那请导演做到第二。自己啊，就是很喜欢恐怖片的啊，只要一有恐怖片啊，我就一定会抢着看哦。那这部片也是，就是我觉得不管是故事构成、元素、声音、剪接各个方面，其实都达到了一个很深的恐惧的效果。那我想一开始啊，好奇的想要请教导演啊，是怎么样的一个灵感，会想要拍一个这个边境的，就是家人，就是小女孩跟她的母亲之间的这样子的一个恐怖故事，故事的灵感是怎么来的
？So anyway, thank you so much for sharing your time to watch our film. It really means a lot to me because we did the post-production here in Taiwan, and I'm very happy to screen it in Taiwan. And this is the first screening, so thank you so much. Thank you so much.
首先感谢各位，那很高兴他在后制在台湾制作，所以很高兴能够把电影完成品带回到台湾来。感谢各位今天出席。
So In My Mother's Skin was a short film way back 2015, and the concept was very periodless because, to be honest, I just don't want cell phones in our films. So it was a periodless film, but during pandemic, me and my father was talking about World War II because my grandfather was a soldier during World War II, and he was talking about the psychological impact of the war and that feeling of a monster outside your house trying to get inside your house. And it's in the middle of pandemic, and I felt the same way, that hopelessness, that finding hope in the dark time during pandemic. And then I realized, oh, maybe we can make this into a World War II film to talk about the psychological or that feeling of claustrophobia and that dark atmosphere during pandemic. So I called my producers and told them that maybe we should make it into a World War II film. So it happened that way. But before it was because I really love the idea of like that claustrophobia in a film, that suffocating feeling, because that's what we felt during pandemic. So yeah, did I answer your question?
Yes.
好，这部片一开始其实是2015年的一部短片，当时它其实并没有去指涉特定的时代跟年代，因为它当时只是不希望电影里面画面里面出现手机，所以他拍摄了一个没有特定时代感的作品。那后来呢，在疫情期间的时候，就跟我爸爸在聊天，他就提到说，我们自己的家人，我的祖父2战时期的时候也在菲律宾从军哦，当时要对抗日本等等，他们当时面到很多在2战留下的心理创伤，他们不断在想象的是，在家门外有一个怪物即将要冲进家门来，然后在这样的幽闭恐惧之下，在这样的环境之中的时候，你必须要从这些黑暗的时代里面去寻找一些可能的希望，或者感觉的过程里面非常的无助等等。他后来觉得，也许我们可以透过这样的作品，把作品移植到2战时代之后，去讨论这种心理的恐惧。那我一直很喜欢在恐怖片里面这种幽闭恐惧，这种在有限空间里面令人感到窒息的氛围。所以我后来就决定把这个作品从原本没有特定时代感的故事，移植到这个2战时期的故事。
谢谢。那我想这部片的我自己觉得声音的部分的处理是非常细致的哦。那我刚刚也听导演说，就是他整个跟就是剪接啊、声音啊都是在台湾进行的。那我想大家可以感觉出来，就是那种虫的翅膀的震动，然后再加喉咙的那种骨头的，就是所有很细琐的声音堆叠起来，其实更加强了就是导演说的那种封闭的效果。可不可以聊聊，就是也请导演聊聊在这个部分的设计，然后也请 Eddie 跟我们分享一下跟导演合作的一个经验。
Props to Buzzing Studio. Actually, they did a really good job with sound, and I'm very happy to be working with them, and the process very good and we're just like grabbing better ideas during the process of editing and sound design. And with the sound design, we were very specific how to make it more, how to play around with the sound of the insect, cicada. And they did really well, and I'm very grateful. And I think Eddie can talk about more of the process of like how they get that sound of the insects of the film.
我觉得其实一切都要归功于黄宁友他们的制作团队，他们在后制的时候有很多的音效这边的处理。我们其实，在剪辑跟音效的过程里面，不断的有迸发出新的想法，他们也充分发挥了我们在画面里面看到那些蝉这个昆虫它的各种声音，然后去堆叠出这样恐惧的感觉。我想黄老师应该有些建议可以跟我们讲。
其实做完这一部，只觉得菲律宾的野外真的很恐怖。然后，其实我记得最早之前还没开始进行后制的时候，导演就一直跟我们在视讯沟通，他有跟我们讲解整个故事大概是什么走向，让我们知道说菲律宾的 fairy 到底是什么样的属性。所以后面他也放给我们很大的空间在那边制作。然后我们刚开始，老实讲，我收到这个素材的时候，其实心里面已经凉一半，因为他们在菲律宾的野外拍的，整场全部的同步录音都是长虫滴，
所以收到素材就已经是很多细节。
对，但是因为它是铺整场，所以我们不能用，我们必须把对白挖出来。
是。
对，因为戏里面的 fairy 它等于是场的一个怎么讲？
森林的邪灵的综合体，对，
对，差不多这个意思。对，所以我们必须要让产生在该出来的地方出来，
是，
然后代表它的意义。像，很高兴有人听到说还有翅膀，对，那个都是我们用尝试很多方法，然后选出一个我们自己觉得最 OK 的，然后导演也喜欢的，对。然后我们在编辑的时候，我们要想办法让环境安静下来，因为安静下来才能表现出细节。然后包括那些很细微的翅膀啊，或是喉音或者什么，
那个真的超 creepy 的。
对，那些都一定要让环境安静下来，然后加上我们的配乐，其实也很帮忙。
是。
对，其实几乎没有改。
几乎没有，
对。
那可以好奇的分享一下，就是所以这个声音跟剪接的过程大概花了多久？那有没有什么哪一场戏是最困难的？你可以。有没有就是可以跟我
剪接的话，其实我不知道。
声音的部分。
对，然后声音其实最困难的一场，我觉得，最有挑战性的其实是菲律出来第一场。
哦，第一场。
对，因为刚开始的时候，其实我们一直在很犹豫，说菲律应该要给他做什么样的特效，然后可以符合他这个人又不是人，虫又不是虫的这种身份。然后我记得。刚开始的时候，我们玩得很过头，我们用的机器不机器、虫不虫什么的，就是很花俏。后来导演跟制作来了以后，跟我们讨论，我们还有跟他argue一下。
哦，是哦，有吵架。
对，没有吵架，但是也就是强烈提出我们为什么要这样子做，然后他们为什么要我们收回来。所以等于今天大家听到的成品，等于是综合之后成品就是这样子。对，当然当下也会有点不开心啦。对，但是看完成品以后，就会觉得，他们有他们的考量，是也不是没道理，是对的。对。
是。好，那导演有没有回应？就是关于那个小小的 argue 的部分。
Yeah, I'm very happy to be working with them because they're very open to experimenting and listening. But I'm very open to listen to them and how they will take the treatment of especially the insect and I think we had a hard time of finding the sound of the fairy's voice. I think we really had like a very long discussion with that, and we have like a lot of discussions and debate how to make the fairy work. And I remember we almost like we have like very limited time already, and I was very indecisive of what the fairy will you know. And I think I really went to the Philippines and then listened to it again, and my producers have their own comments, and they have their own comments, and as a director you need to filter out what will work for the film. So when I went back home, I started listening to the whole process, our whole sound, and decided that, oh, maybe we can do to make this fairy work. I think we need to make it more human. So we grounded it, because we tried a lot of like voices, and we did, back in the Philippines, I remember we did like 5 different, all the dialogues of the fairy, we did like a lot of layers. We had ADR for the fairy with 5 layers, and I remember like we had me and the actress Jasmine, we were in the studio for like whole day, just ADR all the lines with different emotions, with different whispers, evil sounding voices, and it was a fun process. And I'm very lucky to, you know, to have this kind of feel of the film, because of these talented people that you work with, and you know, having these great ideas as well to play around with. And I'm very happy just to, you know, just to play around with the idea and what will come out that will sustain the story that we want to tell.
我们的确在过程里面，在后置的时候跟音效做了很多来回之间的讨论啊、论辩啊，当然有一些争执或者一些不同的这些想法的激荡等等。我们当时其实最难抉择就是那个精灵的那个 fairy 的声音到底应该要怎么样呈现。那我们后来在抉择的时候呢，其实大家每个人都有3个人有4个意见，所以有很多不同的意见。那做导演应该理论上应该要去把它过滤掉之后，选出他认为适合的方向。那偏偏呢，导演自己就是一个比较难以抉择的人，也选择困难的人。他后来有些不同的想法，比如说菲律宾那边有不同的意见，台湾这边有不同的意见。后来呢，我们又重新回到看这整个过程之后，我们又重新回去菲律宾，跟这个饰演 Fairy 的这个演员 Jasmine 花了1整天的时间。一开始我们用了很多种不同的方式，用很多种的方式去叠加很多的层次，5、6个层次等等，从低语到悄悄说话，到各种不同的尖叫声等等结合起来，最后才定锚在我们希望他的声音更接近于人类，然后最后才呈现出来的过程。所以导演很高兴有机会能够跟这么有才华的人一起合作，才会有这么多想法可以去挑选跟互相的交流跟激发出不同的火花。
好，我这边还有一个问题，再让我问一下，我再开放给现场的观众啊。那当然就是这个 Fairy 的这个形象哦，对我来讲是非常的就是等于是整部片的一个灵魂哦。那但是影片里面我们也看到有非常多宗教的意象，比如说他们的祭坛啦，或者是1楼大厅有那个基督的神像啊，那都会隐隐的让我觉得跟 Fairy 的造型好像，或它的姿态是有一点相呼应的。然后就是 Fairy 应该是邪恶的，但是它又像是圣母的邪恶版，或者是像那个教皇。那好奇就是说这个角色的样貌的造型有没有什么灵感？它是故意要综合这种宗教性跟就是有点像扮装皇后的这种，或者肉那种食肉植物的这种感觉吗？不好意思，问题有点长，因为实在太有趣了。
For the costume of the fairy, from writing the script, I remember because the theme of the film is what's hope. Like there's a lot of any kind of hope. Just we people are just searching for hope, just to survive, especially in a very bad crisis, and each characters are just searching for hope. And for the family, it's praying. And in a Filipino context, we find hope through religion and everywhere in the world. It's one way of finding hope through religion. But in a crisis, everyone's just searching for hope, like any kind of hope they can find just to survive. And I really want to mirror the fairy's image of that kind of hope, because the family is very religious. They pray a lot. In order to entice the young kid, I tried to mirror that image of the Catholic saints into the fairy's image, and I remember because I wrote the script, the insect's not a cicada, it's a black beetle, But during pre-production, me and my production designers were discussing, like why we're using a black beetle. And then I said them, I don't know. And then we were just discussing, and they said to me, oh, maybe we can play around with the cicada, because cicada has this beautiful rebirth from an insect from the ground and turning into this beautiful insect. And I realized, oh, maybe I can connect that rebirth of a cicada to the loss of innocence of the protagonist. So I agreed that, yeah, maybe we can let's use the cicada. And with that, with the image of the saints and the cicada, Mother Nature, we combined it, and my production designers, Ben and Carlo, was very good. Like, what they did was really good. And I remember we were discussing of what kind of saint we need to mirror the fairy's image. Because I grew up in the central province in the Philippines. In Cebu, we have a specific saint, a baby Jesus saint. We call it Santo Niño. And I heard a lot, because we had a Santo Niño back in our house, and I remember a lot of like horror stories of that saint in our house. And I remember maybe we can mirror that image of my childhood horror to the fairy. So that's what very successful.
所以在这个 Fairy 他的这个角色的装扮上面，我们当时的想象的是，其实，在任何的世界任何地方，人们都会寻求不同的方式去追寻希望，而且尤其在危机或灾难发生的时候，很多人也许会寻求宗教的力量。所以我希望这一个 Fairy 的形象能够有部分去符合基督教或者天主教里面这些圣人的形象，因为毕竟这一家人他们非常的虔诚，他们常常会祷告，所以如果要去吸引这些孩子的话，必须要有一个近乎于圣者的形象，才有办法吸引他们。那另一方面的时候，这个故事一开始其实我们本来并不是要用蝉作为这个象征，而是用一个黑色的甲虫。后来在前置作业的时候，制片就问我说为什么要用黑色甲虫，他就说我不知道。但是后来我们经过讨论之后，制片就提到了，也许可以用蝉，因为蝉有这个破茧而出这个美好的形象，它就变成一个非常美丽的甲虫。后来觉得，好像可以把这个重生的过程去描述成，比如说这个过程里面，好像他就试图去找到一个新的希望的过程，所以最后就结合了这个圣人的形象，再加上这个甲虫的形象，还有蝉的形象，还有大自然的形象结合在一起，作为我们当时作为这个 Fairy 的形象的设计。那另外一方面，导演来自菲律宾中部的宿务地区，他们这有特殊的这个圣子的形象，这是 Santo Niño。那这个形象呢，其实是对导演而言，小时候觉得那东西很可怕，因为有各种恐怖故事都跟这个雕像有关系，所以我还就试图把这样恐怖的儿时记忆也融入在这样的设计当中。
谢谢导演。好，现场观众有没有问题？赶快举个手啊！这边很快，马上来。
我想问一下，那个不是一开始蝉寄宿到那个女生身上，然后为什么他们每次吃了人肉之后，那个都会吐出黑色的尿
？So in the real mythology, in the Filipino mythology, the aswang, they really vomit birds, a crow, a blackbird. But the original mythology was, if you vomit a bird, you need to pass, it's a way of passing a power to your kids. That's the real mythology. You vomit a bird and then you pass it to your children to have that power to become a monster. But I really want to retell that way. I really want to break the Filipino mythology just to give something new towards the lore. So I decided that, maybe we can play around with two entities of Philippine mythical creatures, which is the aswang and the encanto, which is the fairy. And I remember maybe instead of passing the power to her kids, maybe the fairy vomits the bird and give power to the fairy. So that's why the fairy keeps eating the bird, because it gives her power. So.
好， 那在菲律宾原本的他们原始当地的这些传说故事当中的时候呢，这一个过程里面，如果他的确吃了人肉之后，他会吐出黑鸟来，但是吐出黑鸟之后呢，他就会把这个力量传给他的女儿或儿子，传给下一代。那我后来就想说，可以把菲律宾2个不同的传说结合在一起，一个是那个精灵的传说，一个是这个我们刚才提到这个怪兽的传说，把它结合在一起之后，就变成，比如说当你把黑鸟吐出来之后，喂养那个精灵，让它变得更加有力量。所以我当时是把2个不同的故事结合起来。
谢谢。好，那因为时间的关系，不好意思，我占用了太多时间问问题啊，所以我们的映后座谈要在这边告一个段落。但导演接下来就是今天刚到嘛，接下来还有一个场次，所以观众如果有问题的时候，也欢迎就是到时候在我们的脸书留言啊，我们可以再来交换心得这样子啊。我偷偷的讲大家，因为导演接下来应该还有一点时间，大家可以在外面堵他，再来问他这样子啊。好，那最后我们再次请大家以热烈的掌声来感谢导演。
Thank you so much.
还有黄金手林小新带来这么精彩的作品，谢谢，谢谢。
Thank you.